Hey YouTube, welcome back. Gonna be honest right off the bat here, I wasn't planning on doing another Dead Matter video. I really didn't want to give this game more attention than it deserves. But since my interview with Airlight this weekend, I have spoken to another QI software dev. QI is Dead Matter's development studio, by the way. If you are unaware of the whole Dead Matter saga, I would highly recommend watching Kira TV's very in-depth investigation into Dead Matter's development. The link is in the description below. But as a quick summary, Dead Matter is a zombie survival horror game that was a huge crowdfunding success back in 2017. In all, QI received roughly around $9 million and had 6 years to develop the game. To date, they have delivered nothing of what they've promised, and their early access build that released this week is incredibly bad, as you can see from the footage here. On Dead Matter's launch day, I streamed this, for lack of a better word, abomination, and while doing so, I met a former QI dev named Airlight. I ended up interviewing him about his experiences at QI Software. He detailed a lot of really troubling issues with the game's development and how the staff was treated. I placed a link to that interview in the description below as well. After my interview with Airlight, I was contacted by another former dev who worked as a programmer on Dead Matter. I interviewed him, and he painted an equally troubling picture of what was going on at QI Software during Dead Matter's development. I need to say that the interviews I had with these former devs are not going to break too much new ground in terms of the conclusions we can come to about what happened with Dead Matter's development. Dead Matter truly died because of poor management, horrible business practices, and gross incompetence. This conclusion is still very valid. However, these interviews do reveal that now that the game's out and all hopes are dashed for it to become anything close to what was promised, people who suffered while working on this project finally feel comfortable enough to defend themselves in their own words. I initially questioned why these two would choose to speak to me, given to what happened at QI Software in terms of Dead Matter's development is pretty plainly evident and in the public at this point. I assumed it was to elaborate more on the story of the development of Dead Matter, but I think for these guys, it goes much deeper. In both of these interviews, I really got the sense that their experiences at QI Software, and specifically with Nick or Johnny Guitar or whatever he calls himself, took a heavy toll on them as people. Both of them describe horrible working conditions, management intentionally sabotaging employees, backstabbing, forced crunch sessions, scapegoating, especially of past team members, and outright abuse. For both of them, this was their first job in the gaming industry. They were both very young and fresh out of school when they joined QI Software. Both of them described being extremely excited about going in on the project, thinking that this was going to be an opportunity to be part of one of the biggest games ever made. They ended up going instead into a working situation that, and these are my words, not theirs, damaged them in many ways. From what I can tell, there were not many experienced industry professionals working at QI when the development of Dead Matter began. There were no real adults around to exercise restraint or remind senior management, if you can even call them managers, that they have a responsibility to their employees' well-being as well as the product that they're making. I think that every person watching this video can think of a working experience they absolutely dreaded, or even contemplated taking drastic measures in order to escape the pain of a situation like that. If you can't recall a situation like that, be grateful. The kind of toxic work environment that they described is horrible for the well-being of anyone, but even more so for young people starting out on their careers. Junior professionals setting out onto a career like this, in their early stages, want nothing more than to prove themselves and to please their employers and customers. In the early stages of career development, they lack the experience to know when to push back against abuse, even if they're being abused, and any real estimation of their actual value. People in this situation, especially young men, often instead internalize this kind of abuse and conclude that there is something wrong with themselves as opposed to the situation that they're in. All too often, the outcome to something like this is very tragic. The things that you will hear described indicate that QI management absolutely failed them. Not just that they failed to deliver anything like the game they promised, they created a toxic culture that has the potential to do long-term damage to the employees that they're supposed to be setting up for success. QI's management is not just derelict in their duty to actually deliver something to the customers, they're derelict in their duty to their employees and to the working industry as a whole. These young men deserved a lot better. And this is, as best as I can figure, why they chose to talk to me. Now that the facade of Dead Matter's potential is gone, there's an opportunity to close this chapter of their lives. If they are ever going to truly move on and put this experience behind them, they need to just say it in their own words. Simply put, they just want to be heard. For my part, I hope that this will be the end of the story for QI Software and Dead Matter. QI Software should shut down immediately. Any remaining funds should go to employees who were not paid, and then to backers or investors. And Dead Matter, as a game, should be simply deleted. To the QI's management team, I have nothing to say to you, but fuck you. You should have known better. Even if you didn't know then, you should know better by now. But instead, you've chosen to seek more money by going on Steam and keep this goddamn abomination going. I'm absolutely disgusted with what my $80 pledge to this game contributed to. For my part, the next time I decide to pledge to crowdfunding, I'm going to take some time to do some research. I'm going to look for experience in the management team and some kind of corporate structure or any structure that would be in place to protect employees from situations like this. If I don't see anyone on your team with at least 10 years of industry experience and is over the age of 40, you are not getting my support. Okay, enough editorializing. I'm going to play the full interview and let you hear from this former QI dev themselves. But just to note before I do, at the source's request, I have disguised their voice and removed any personally identifiable information. I've also edited the interview for time, but all of the context has been preserved. Thank you for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. I would love to hear from you on this issue. Remember to follow me on Twitch. I stream over there on Tuesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Talk to you later, Graveyard. Here I call you. It's Okay, great. You're an ex Dead Matter dev. You work for QI. If you could actually do me a favor, I want to ask you just like a little bit about your background first. So if you could just maybe describe your education, what you did, how you got involved with them, that would probably be a great place to start.
Yeah. So I am a serial programmer. I met Nick on a Discord channel from a friend that we have. He made a game called Unfortunate Spaceman. He had a Discord back in the day that we met on.
Okay.
And I needed some money because some personal things popped up and I needed the cash. So I asked him like, hey, do you need some help? And it turned out like at the time, I think it was like or something. He was like the only programmer on the team. And they were like years into development. I don't know the exact history behind that. Why is he like the only one at the time? But
okay.
Yeah.
Then this was the only one, or Nick was the only one?
Nick's a programmer, yeah.
Okay, and he's also the CEO of QI,
yes.
Correct? Okay, great. Okay, sure. Continue.
So I then started working with Nick. Most of the game at this time was made in blueprints. I don't know how familiar you are with Unreal.
I'm all I know is that Unreal was a game that I played called Unreal Tournament back in the day, and that's all that I know. So you're gonna have to maybe educate me on that, I guess.
Yeah. So in Unreal, there's this thing called blueprints, which is like a visual scripting thing. It's kind of like I don't know if you see it. It's like the nodes that you connect with the wires, and then it executes stuff from left to right, basically.
Sure.
It's used to like enable game designers to make systems like AI or something like that, or like level designers can script something real quick, like you pull a lever and then a door opens or something like that. Just simple things, but you can also make games in it. And then there's this thing called C++, which is like the core bare bones thing you can use to make games in Unreal. It's very performant. And we ported the game from blueprints to C++. Most of it was thrown out at the time, like code-wise, like assets, level design and stuff obviously stayed. But like all of the core gameplay stuff, like the player movement, the inventory and stuff like that, it all got thrown out and rewritten. And then we essentially made what is 0.6 in about a year, which is pretty good, considering that like we had a year and we got so much done. We consider 0.6 as like the pinnacle of the game because it had the most content. The only big issues were that the game was hitching like crazy and the performance was bad, and obviously some bugs, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I played 0.6 and it was just from what I played yesterday, it's a completely different experience. Like I don't even know.
It got so much worse.
Yeah, I don't know how a game gets worse.
Oh, I think I can tell you why it might have gone worse.
Sure, continue on. Don't let me interrupt you. Go for it.
Essentially, I've been there when the game launched. Games, like when I say launch, the closed alpha launch to the backers. The closed alpha launch was probably the worst week in my life because essentially everyone was pissed. The keys weren't given out. The website was down, and we were just sitting in a voice chat, like the entire team, and just like being depressed. Like some people have this Discord plugin that lets you see hidden channel, and
Yeah.
we renamed the channel names to like I don't know, like Suicide Party or something like that, and then like people
Oh God.
people were seeing it, and we had like a little bit of fun with the community. But everyone was depressed, man. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I remember it was at the time when the release stuff happened. Ricky really started to dislike me. He really loved me in the beginning, and then for some reason, like slowly over time, he started to really dislike me personally. And I noticed that the most when at the game called at the time a game called Fall Guys came out, and he was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna buy you Fall Guys. We're gonna have a nice time." Everyone was given Fall Guys except for me. I had to buy it myself. And yeah, he
Wow.
was in the voice chat, and I asked him like, "Hey Nick, I don't own the game. Like, can you please buy me the game or something like that?" And he's like, "Oh man, guys, I'm having so much fun." Like, he's completely ignoring me. I don't know if he like acoustically couldn't understand me, or if he's just ignoring me. It wouldn't be the first time. I was fired on. I actually looked the date up from the DMs, and everyone in the community was told that I left for personal reasons. That's completely made up. I was fired. And the reason I was fired is because Nick blames me for the terrible launch of the game. He said like, "Oh, we can't do this. How do you say it? There's like pressure from the community, and like we can't deliver code that's not untested," because he claimed I never tested anything. I rewrote the ladder system, and they didn't work when I committed it. And when I say commit, it's like I'm pushing my end of the code changes to the main branch, basically. It's like a tree structure. And it was broken, and then he completely flipped at me. Like, he was like, "Hey, do you have some time to talk?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man, why not?" Because we spoke a lot in voice. Like, we hang out till like 3 in the morning, just having a good old time. And then, like, the more we move into the year, the more he started to really, really dislike me. He screamed at me publicly in meetings because doors weren't working. And at some point, I just said like, "Okay, go yourself, fix them yourself," and then I just left the meeting. And I got people who can say this actually happened. Obviously, I don't have recordings or something like that. So it's basically like trust me, bro, or trust my bros. So
So I'm getting the sense, like, I guess I'm interested in this because I think that it's kind of interesting how, like, where my $80 went, right? Like, I mean, where all the money went. Like, I am so lost as to why this game just ended up like it did. I mean, how do you have so much? How do you have so much money and then all of a sudden everything just gets like thrown away? How big was your team that you worked with?
the programming side at one point was like 3 to 4 people. And then we had a couple of level designers. I think we had one weapon artist, one weapon animator, and a few level designers. I think like 2 or 3. I don't remember the exact number. I might be off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys aren't like cheap, right?
Uh,
Like how much does like how I hate to ask you how much you were getting paid, but I mean maybe that's that is an appropriate question if you
you
want to
might
answer
have
it
heard
because
this
it's
before, but this was the first big game in my career. I am now, and when I joined, I was, I think, and
okay.
like I got abysmal pay. My first task on the team was to make. So if you like walk to them, they run away. They were in one of the vlogs. I think the first vlog that had my stuff in it was vlog. Like he showed at the beginning and stuff like that. Those were all mine. I got $600 for that, which is below minimum wage, like abysmally low. And it never really.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I got pay, absolutely trash pay. Which is partly my fault, because I don't know what I'm worth. I know now, but at the time I didn't know. But also his fault, I think, because, like, he knows, and he didn't stop me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I mean, that's just not Below minimum wage.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus. And how long were you there for? Like you were there until you said, but when did you start? What month
I
and
think it
year
was,
did you start? Of
yeah. So about
Okay.
a year, yeah.
And you were getting okay. Were there any other senior people on the game as far as like senior programmers, senior directors, those kind of things that you interacted with?
At the time, we didn't really have directors except for Nick. Everyone was really involved in stuff like game design. So if you had a cool idea, you could do it. Back in the day, the team dynamic was also really cool. It actually felt like it's a bunch of friends making a cool game, and everyone believed that like the game is cool. Like what we're making is really cool.
Right.
But there were issues with management and constantly shifting of ideas and stuff like that.
Okay. So like what do you mean like the issues with management? Like they were shifting ideas. Would you guys get direction and it just would be like okay, like whatever. Like I mean,
So we would playtest ourselves. We would, this is obviously at the time, I know the company changed a lot, management side after I left. Like there was a big corporate attempt. He got like AAA devs from, I think, Insurgency or something like that. He got them in. And then there was this entire Derek situation, but I never interacted with those people. It was before my time.
what was the Derek situation?
The Derek situation was he brought in a guy to fix the company, quote unquote. And previously he worked at Insurgency in Canada. That's not their main offices. They were supposed to, I think, do the console version or something like that. And he ran that company into the ground, allegedly. And he did the same with that matter. But I don't know much more about that. I just know, I think the Kira video has more info about that.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, that's like terrible. He wasn't paying you guys a lot of money. Was he taking a lot of money? Was he showing up with like cars and stuff like that, or was it?
I never knew how much he got. He said to himself when I spoke to him about it that he pays himself the least. But I also know that he bought a nice car, which like you could have saved. I don't know what the salary he was getting at the time. Obviously, he's probably getting a little bit more because he's the CEO. Yeah, he never. There was this rumor that he bought a villa or something like that, but that's completely made up. He doesn't own a villa.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no villa.
Like, I don't think the money vanished because he was set up to scam people. I still don't believe the game is a scam, which is a controversial opinion because for me, a scam is like I'm making something with the intent to deceive people, and I fully believe that he thinks this game is good and presentable.
You like? Oh, that's interesting. So you think that he's actually like he's a believer, like that, like he's not. It's which is almost worse actually. So he actually believes in this game.
I fully believe that Nick thinks like this is good enough for early access. We're gonna fix the issues later. Don't worry about it. This is playable.
Wow.
You need a 4090 to play this game. I just want to mention that real quick.
A 4090. Okay, so that's on the specs. So
Yeah.
4090. I thought that was like as far as it ran, like it ran like shit. Like the whole thing. But I was my 3090 was like okay, but I was still sitting there going like to me it was just this is just a mishmash of just garbage. You know, like I mean, there's no textures on things. Half of the inventory doesn't look the same, and it is worse. And the guns sound way worse than they used to. The guns actually, like I remember in point six, like it looked pretty good, if I recall.
It was thanks to our animator. He learned blueprints actually along the way, and every location had these volumes. I think they're called audio volumes. And he made like reverb. He made like the tail end of a gunshot sound, like the echo basically that plays with you outside and stuff like that. Like he did a shit ton of audio design, and I think that's all gone.
And he's just gone, right? Like he left the company as well.
He's working in AAA now.
Oh, well, good for him. He deserves to work in AAA.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I love him.
What do you see as the primary causes why this game is just garbage.
I think the primary cause is can be best illustrated with what happened in vlog 10. I don't know if you saw all of the vlogs. You probably did.
No. I'll check out vlog 10
Okay.
for sure, though.
Vlog 10 was the first vlog that actually showed gameplay, like raw gameplay at the end.
Okay, cool.
At the time, those were also zombies.
Right.
They obviously had issues. They had stupid animations, but like they worked. Like you could. I think they work better than the current one. I think the current ones are really like they just
the current zombies are they have no more depth in their gameplay than the Goombas in Super Mario Brothers. And I'm talking
Yeah,
for this.
like-
I'm talking for the NES. Like it was.
they have the difficulty of like there are spikes on the floor that damage me over time.
Yeah. Like they just
But with
move.
the change that the spikes clip through the walls.
Yeah.
Constantly.
They
It's
clip-
like what the fuck?
They clip through the walls and they just move slowly towards you, and if they touch you, you get damage, and it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I remember it not being like that. I remember actually like zombies running at you and actually having to be like, yo, I'm kind of like scared and terrified and all this kind of stuff of this.
Yeah, we can talk about the zombie iterations later, but like with vlog 10, this was the first time I ever crunched, like really, really badly.
Okay.
One day before release of the vlog, we crunched like crazy. Like we started fixing. It was the norm for most of the vlogs. Like every time he just randomly said like, okay, at this date there's the vlog. You need to get this fixed as much as possible. He never said you need to crunch. We just did it ourselves.
Right.
But he would do tactics like manipulate you to basically say like, oh, we're all on the same boat. I know it's the weekend, but like, could you please come back and stuff like that? And he's like all buddy about it. He's trying to manipulate you emotionally, basically, to get you to work more.
What else were the working conditions like as far as things went? You guys were all remote, right?
Yeah, we're all remote. Until he got an office, and then some people were in the office. The office is also another can of worms. Holy what a waste of money.
Oh, okay. So what was the deal with that?
Basically, one of the team members really wanted an office. He was also in Canada. I'm not gonna say who.
Okay.
He was really pushing him, and then the guy left. And then Nick was to me like, oh, I'm so glad that we don't have to buy this stupid office now. Because he's apparently a friend of him or something like that. And he later just randomly bought an office. Because, like, I'm pretty sure he thought, like, oh, every big team has an office or something like that. And he got an office, and then he wanted us to relocate and shit like that. And some were even considering it. I know was considering it. I know another guy was considering it. One guy got saved.
Saved? How so?
because they thought he had, like, a bachelor's degree in computer science or something.
Okay. Like...
It was just management being terrible.
God. Okay.
The office is really stupid if you consider that most of the team is remote and you would need to make them move to your country.
Yeah.
Like, we had people in Canada and Germany, we had people in France, we had people in the US.
I mean, that would cost $1 million right there anyways, right? So...
Yeah. You would probably need to pay it out of your own pocket, I'm pretty sure. I'm not gonna leave my country to live in Yeehaw, Canada. Like, it's not really my cup of tea.
No, Alberta's not that bad. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand.
Okay.
It's actually quite beautiful. You'd love it. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So okay, so they scrapped the office. So they had an office for a while, and then they didn't, and then they were trying to make people relocate, and then they gave up the lease for the office or something.
No.
Is that what it is?
One guy wanted the office, and then the guy left, and then Nick was like, "Thank God I don't have to buy this office," and then he got an office.
Oh, okay. So he did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a pretty toxic environment that you were in.
It was very toxic with him.
Was I from kind of gave the indication that there was like a lot of people who were just like backstabbed and like talked about when nobody like, yeah, it seemed like Nick was always at the center of that. Is that true?
Nick was at the center of it or allowed it. There was actually another guy in the company who abused a different person. But I
when you say
about
abuse, what do you mean?
Hmm?
When you say abuse, what do you mean?
Like the similar abuse that I faced, like he's getting screamed at, he's getting sabotaged along the way. Nick would also
Sabotage how?
for example, like ghosted, withhold important information. like a Google Doc that he's supposed to be on, and then like Nick told him about him, and then he went to the guy and he said like, hey, why did you never send me this Google Doc? And then he like pretended to like not know what he's talking about and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool
And if
stuff.
things went wrong, who got the blame? Like obviously, like I'm getting that
The employees.
too as well. Employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I
Is
got
there-
the blame for the doors, I got the blame for the zombies, the launch. I caused a bug in 0.6 that caused like items to spawn with like 1 million stack. Like you just find $1 million in a crate basically. And the way this happened was we had the system to respawn containers. So like every few minutes the containers would just reshuffle what they have. And I used a function that he made. No, I was looking for like a clear inventory function. Basically like a function is like a thing you call in programming. It's like a little collection of code. I was looking for something to safely wipe the entire inventory of the container. And I didn't found any, so I just made my own. I shot him a message, but he just ghosted me, basically. He never answered this message, and when he messaged me after that, he just completely changed the subject. That would happen a lot, by the way. You ask him a question, and he would just simply ignore you, not answer. And he flipped at me that there was actually a function, and I should have just asked him, even though I did, and that I like never test my and stuff like that. And like you would think something like that would be called like clear inventory or something like that. It was called clear offline data. Like what the man?
Yeah.
That doesn't scream I clear the inventory to me.
Okay. Like you never saw him like throw anything or like hit
No.
somebody. Like that's
No.
not something that would happen. Obviously,
Yeah.
since you guys were all remote and anyways. So yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
I guess that's safe. That's that's a good safety feature about working remote.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's physically abusive. I would say he's mentally abusive, at least to me.
Right. Yeah. And that's not a good thing to go through. That's really horrible. That's really sad. What do you think? You left the company. You were fired. I assume you're working now, right? You're working as well.
Yes.
Okay, good. In your field, doing the things you want to do, after dead matter kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add as far as like big things that you think that people should know about when they're forming their opinion on the game?
I don't think the game is ever gonna be good.
Okay.
I don't think the game is ever gonna run well. He tried really hard to optimize 0.6, but just was unable to. And I think one of the big issues, they actually restarted the map because of the hitching issues, which is why the 0.6 map is completely different.
Right.
They wanted to downscale and like change some locations and stuff like that. And then we had access to the nightly builds.
Right. What are the nightly builds?
Because we got the password to the nightly builds.
What is a night?
The
What is
nightly
it?
builds are basically like when at the end of the day they make a build and upload it to this branch so people can test, basically.
So it's like a daily thing of the game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the most up-to-date version of the game. And for months, nothing changed. Like literally nothing. No gameplay changes. The lighting was different. I know he wasted a ton of time on lighting. Stuff that doesn't matter at the grand scheme of things. He would also, I'm a bit flipping through time here, but like I remember this one incident when like everyone was really hard at work and really crunching to get this thing out, and then he started working on lip syncing for NPCs. We don't even have voice actors. Why are you wasting time on this? You're supposed to fix the inventory,
Okay.
for example.
Yeah.
Like, he wasted time, like over a month, to implement 2 different database systems to save stuff. Even though Unreal has a solution that works, he would message you at 4 in the morning and then get angry at you that you never got back to him. Sometimes he would just post a picture of something broken and just say fix it in all caps with no further context.
Just say fix it. Yeah, not there's no leadership or direction or anything like that.
Yeah. When I got fired, I had an exit interview that I was not aware of. I didn't know that was an exit interview, where he basically tried to further manipulate me, like, hey, if you get abuse from the community or something like that, come to me. If you need a key or something, you can just ask me, blah, blah, blah. You're like a brother to me and stuff like that. Like, lying in my face. I would have just preferred if you just say, like, hey, I don't like you because X, Y, and Z. Like, It's so weird. I later then asked him about a key, and he just never responded to me. So that's cool. Thanks, bro.
What was the game supposed to be? Was there ever like a vision as to what it was going to be on its own, and what it should have been?
There was always a vision, but it slowly evolved over time. It started as like we're gonna make Zomboid in 3D, but like better, and then it was like, oh, we make DayZ with like Tarkov inventory. He constantly said like, oh, the inventory is not inspired by Tarkov, blah blah blah. It's literally Tarkov. Like even the looting was Tarkov.
It's very clear it's Tarkov.
He would get really angry about that. He also never wanted to implement stuff like if you control click an item, it like auto moves it to your inventory and stuff like that, which is there now. So I think he changed his opinion on it. So like the big vision was always, I think, Project Zomboid in 3D.
You don't think that that's ever going to be achieved, and it's just you believe that he truly believes in this game and what it can be.
Yes, I think he mismanages a lot of things. He gets distracted constantly by random shit. I mean, if you look at the current version, like the lighting is pretty when it's not broken, but the game runs like there's no content, the zombies are abysmal. He implemented a completely experimental zombie system, like what Pitbull is basically. The current zombies are called Pitbull AI. He threw that in like a month or so before release. Like, this stuff needs to be tested. It needs to be iterated on. You can't just make this giant system and just throw it in. Just make zombies that just, like, run at you and punch you, and there's, like, I don't know, like 20 of them or something. That's more than enough, and then iterate on that. You can have your 1,000 zombies, that's cool. But, like, I mean, it's terrible for gameplay, right? But, like, that's because it's a new system, so he has to show it off to everyone, like, oh, look how many zombies there are. But he doesn't mention that they can't go into buildings, and they're, like, pretty terrible to fight against.
Then they all look like they belong on a PS2.
Yeah. I'm also convinced that he never played the game. I'm very convinced he never once booted up this build. There's no way. Because if you just boot up the game, you find 10 bucks in the first second. It starts in the character menu when like your entire torso is gone. Normally, if you make a game, you open up Notepad, you launch the game, and then you go in-game, and then every time you see something bad, you write it down, and then you fix it. Most of the bugs in the game right now are really easily to fix. For example, your third-person shadow in first-person, it has no animations. That's trivial to fix. You already have a third-person model. Just use that.
So what is this like incompetence, or is this like, it's just, what's the deal here?
I think he does get distracted a lot and very fast. Like, he just wakes up and then it's like, oh, I have this cool idea, I need to work on it now. He's kinda running this company like it's a modding project for like Gmod or something.
What do you think's gonna happen to Dead Manor?
I think they run out of money and then the game's gone.
How long?
I can't tell. I mean, the game's out on Steam, but if like every one of those reviews have refunded the game, which I don't think is the case, then I don't think they're gonna last a month.
Oh, not even a month, eh?
Yeah. But like, I don't know for sure how much money they have, but they burned through a ton, that's a fact.
The more you tell me about this, the more sad I am. Like, it's just, it's unfortunate. I think that's probably a very toxic person, but at the same time, I'm also like, oh God, this feels like really, really bad. I mean, I don't know about you.
I'm insanely disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is. Everyone who worked on this game had an insane amount of passion, and I'm pretty sure the current team also has an insane amount of passion. It's interesting, this release is basically the same as the closed alpha release, and I'm pretty sure everyone is there right now is also pretty depressed. I would imagine that Nick is feeling really bad. They go through the same mistakes that we did back in the day. And I'm just gonna admit that, like, the things we did back in the day were really like, we just banned a ton of people for, like, having an opinion, basically, and stuff like that.
Who was responsible for that? Like, who was the person that, like,
everyone.
Like, so everybody on the dev team was banning people that were inside the Discord and just being like, yeah, we don't want to hear it, so they would, like, get rid of them kind of thing?
We would just say, like, oh, you're trolling, basically. Like, at the time, we actually thought, like, okay, this guy just tries to troll or, like, spam and shit like that. But, like, looking back, most of those people just had an opinion that the game... Like, I can't speak for everyone, but, like, at least that's me.
Did you ban anybody?
Yeah.
Did you ban anybody on there?
I banned a few people, yeah. Also, all of the features in the vlogs, and that's also a thing I saw a lot, all of the features in the vlogs were actually in the game. Like all of them. Everything shown in the vlogs was actually in the game. The lockpicking was in the game, the hot wiring, the animals, the like cool zombies animations where they like bash their head on the wall and stuff like that. That was all in the game, and it all got thrown out.
Wow.
Because for one reason or another.
Wow. Okay, so you guys actually like your progress was just thrown out. That's really sad. Like that's just some of that stuff was really cool, you know?
We also noticed after release, they did like blogs on their website, and so the guy who wrote it in a way that is basically blaming the old team for like all of the issues, like due to some changes from past members and like that. Like that was the wording.
Has any of that stuff ever followed you as far as like jobs or people asking you about Dead Matter?
People are constantly asking me about that matter, but like,
what are they asking mainly?
They are more like you, like, oh, what happened? What the?
Is there anything you think you would like to add?
The zombie system when I joined was made by Nick. I think it's shown in vlog 2 or 1 or something like that. They were fully client-side, meaning that if you were a bad actor, if you were a bad actor, you could write a cheat to like fully control them like puppets. So that was bad.
Okay, that's bad.
So I rewrote them with my own movement and stuff, and we had like over 200 at them on the screen at once. But the issue with my zombies was due to my inexperience with like character movement and stuff. Like they were pretty buggy, but they made it into 0.6.
Yeah.
And then someone else joined on the team, so he rewrote them again. They worked pretty cool. I think those were actually like the last zombies that we worked on. And then someone else joined on the team, he reworked them again. And then I think the final version is also Nick's zombies, which are also client-side, by the way. As far as I know.
Would you say that like maybe there's like just a rotating dissatisfaction that comes out of Nick, and then people leave, and then they have to start all over again because nobody understands the code that the person that left the team wrote?
I think it's Nick saying like the previous version is terrible and the code is bad, rewrite it.
Yeah, why though? Like, it's. Like that's the thing.
Narcissism. I don't know.
Like, wow. Okay. I don't understand. Like, why is that like a zombie banging their head against the wall, which sounds like a pretty cool thing that I've never seen in a lot of zombie games and stuff. That would be pretty neat. Just an editor's note here. He starts to talk about places that he worked after QI and then details some more follow-on harassment that he received from Nick even when he left the company. I've edited some of that out because it identifies him, but I'm now going to bring you as much as I can to give you an idea of what he experienced. Back to the interview.
That's another thing of Nick's, I would say, paranoia. I was no longer at the company, like at that matter. And I had a friend there who was really struggling and he wanted to leave. And he actually like I told him like, hey, we need people like you on the team. Do you want to join? He's like, yeah, sure. And then Nick flipped at me saying I was poaching employees because I was helping a friend out to find a better job.
Yeah.
That's another thing of Nick's paranoia. Like he actually thought like, oh, I'm scouring through like every one of his devs. He told like a moderator and one of the developers to ghost us all. Like basically like quit being friends with those people or you're gonna get punished in some way. It's like, what the bro?
Yeah.
Like the moderator especially was funny to me because he's an unpaid moderator. Like, do you want to quit all of your friends or do you want to continue moderating for me for free? And it's like, Lamau, what the I'm not quitting my friends.
How do you feel about Nick? I'm gonna just go on a limb here and say I feel like you are angry at him, but I'm still sensing like maybe this is like there's some conflict here. I don't know. How do you feel about Nick?
I think Nick is a competent programmer. Like he knows his stuff in the coding world. I think he's insanely terrible with people. I think he should not lead this company at all. I think they should get a new guy to lead the company. He should just be a guy in the background, maybe like managing financials or something like that, but like he should not touch the game at all. He is an abuser in my eyes. Like he made me feel like I'm not worth anything. I know some other people on the team who also felt the same. Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Well, yeah, don't feel bad. about that. That's them, not you. So let's don't let their
Oh, I'm
opinions be
past
yours.
that. Like the saga is finally ending. I think he's now getting what he deserves.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the moment for you? I guess like I mean, it's gotta feel rough, right? In a lot of ways, not rough, but it's gotta feel like, hey, like this is kind of vindicating, right?
I'm shocked how terrible the game is right now. They completely remade the map and everything, and like the art assets. They had AAA devs, and somehow they f***ed up the game really badly. Or more like he f***ed up the game really badly. Like, what the happened with this game, man? Like I said, like we had access to the nightly builds. We saw the game develop in real time, and for months there was like no visible change at all. Maybe in the background, like the back-end systems were changed or something like that, but like there was never any gameplay or anything like that in the rewrite. And when I say rewrite, it's like after
Like point six I wasn't great. There was a lot of things that needed to be done, but I remember it just being way different.
we had a lot of fun in point six. We actually got together and played on a public server, and it was cool. Like one guy was like, we were speaking in the local VoIP, and we were building a base, having a cool time, defending against shitty zombies. And then like a guy got a van, and he got like new supplies, and they were actually stored as like visible items in the back and stuff like that. So he comes back. We think he logged off or something. So he comes back and like opens the trunk, and it's just full of containers, full of wooden planks and shit. And then we fortified some more. Like that was a gameplay loop. There were traders and there were. I think there was a quest. I think there was like a guy on a bridge who wanted gamer juice or something like that from you, like Mountain Dew knockoff. It was really fucking cool, and then it got all thrown out for, hey, here's pretty lighting, but you need a 4090 to run the fucking game. Because the guy is too incompetent or lazy to optimize the game, or he doesn't see the value in it.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Some of the leaves don't even have textures or anything like that. Like, how do you not notice that? How do you not know that the tutorial softlocks you currently? Before, by the way, the tutorial at some point shows you, oh, you can craft a baseball bat with nails. And they give you a package of nails, and you need like 12 nails. The number of nails you get from this package is random. So you can randomly not complete the tutorial. How did this happen? How the fuck did this make it through QA? If you even have it.
I don't know.
I think he tested. I think whoever made this thing, maybe it was Nix, maybe someone else. I think the guy, or the person, they tested it once and they got really lucky with the nails. Like, or didn't try anything stupid.
Or they just didn't fix it.
Or they just don't care. Also, why is the tutorial a Skyrim reference? The game came out in 2011, let it go.
Is there a Sky? You know what? I didn't play the tutorial.
It's like, in the beginning it says like, oh, you illegally crossed the border or something like that. And then the first thing the guy on the walkie-talkie tells you is, hey, you're finally awake. It's literally Skyrim.
It's really, like, I think the more that you tell me, the more I kind of sit back and I go, I feel angry, but I also feel disappointed, but I also feel like sad,
Yeah.
Like, this is sad. Like, I think the worst part that you're saying is that he believes in the game.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the hard part to swallow. Because if he believes in the game, like, I don't know. I would rather he'd be a scammer. I'd rather that you were telling me that he was out there and he was like having hookers and blow come into the office all the time. Like, I really would. Like, I would rather. I'm sitting here trying to think like this person is a bad person, but this is just somebody who actually fucking believes in the game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hardest part about this. And I don't know what to say, I don't know what to say at the end of that. I don't think people should buy the game, of course.